Yeah, man. Another day. Another day. That money truck. That money truck. Yeah, a lot of the trolls, man, they was the trolls like my last live. They was talking big mess. Talking big mess. But a little story about money truck. Money truck. Once, just to give you a little, not too much info, but I once was in a situation to be inside one and to witness, I think for the first time in my life, what $1 million in cash actually feels like. I'll leave it at that. Let's just say it took every ounce of me not to say F it, you know, say F it because million cash won't do nothing here, won't do nothing for you here. In the house in the ghetto in California, Los Angeles area, or the Bay Area for $1 million. But $1 million in a developing country, you live like you wouldn't have to work ever again. You live like a king. You live like a god. So it took everything in me not to do it, man. It took every ounce of my being not to do it. But after that day, after that time, I'm like checking the energy of everybody, looking at my surroundings. One thing that I felt and I see that everybody looked at us with a look in the eye. They had a look in the eye like, man, if I could just, you know, get it. And all it would have took is one crazy individual. I mean, I won't even say crazy. Let me not say crazy. Individual would have had the nuts to do it. That's all it would have took is an individual that had the nuts, the courage, the bravery to take that risk. And that would have been the end of us. But yeah, man. I'm just talking about random stuff. Not really, you know, it's not really a subject matter on this live. It's just a random thoughts, like random stuff I'm talking about. But I checked. I did look at that Elon Musk Joe Rogan interview, and he said a lot of interesting stuff, man. He said a lot of interesting stuff in that Joe Rogan, that Elon Musk Joe Rogan interview, man. I think y'all should check it out because he says a lot of interesting things in it. He talks about the the Doge government organization that he's in charge of. He talks about, you know, the left, his views on the left, and why he felt it was important for Donald Trump and the right to get into office because if not, he feels that we would have basically been. I don't, I have to watch it again because it's a long interview, but he said a lot of things in there, man. But one thing that was that one thing that stood out to me was when he was talking, he kept reiterating on the point of going to Mars, and Joe didn't really Joe didn't really hit it much he kept bringing it up, but Joe didn't really question question him on that Mars thing and how he's trying to get to Mars and how he's trying to get SpaceX rockets to Mars and make it to where they can land and come back. Joe didn't really touch on that, and I felt like Joe could have touched on it a little bit more in that interview because this is supposed to be the richest man in the world. He's the richest man in the world, and he's talking about creating a civilization on Mars, and he's saying it multiple times throughout the interview. And one thing that I know that as regular people, as common people, like us, that when billionaires start to talk stuff like that, especially the world's richest man, you should pay attention because when billionaires are talking about the possibility of life on another planet because they feel like the life on this planet is in danger, that's not something to take lightly. And this is a man that's actually making steps and moves to make that happen. You know, uh, sometime last year in the news, you were hearing about all these billionaires building these underground bunkers. And he was like, why are they doing that? Why are these billionaires building these underground bunkers? Because they know things, they get information that us common people don't get because they have the wealth, they have the connections, and they have the access to that knowledge. So when they start panicking and they were building bunkers, they had some information that the common people don't get access to that was telling them, hey, we need to build these bunkers because something could happen, right? And now in this interview, Elon is like, Mars, Mars, life on Mars, creating building another civilization on Mars, taking about 1 million people there. He's saying that for a reason because you gotta understand, Elon Musk is not just a common multi-billionaire. He has access. He has top secret clearance. He has top secret clearance. So that means that he has information that even the billionaires don't have. In addition to that, he has a close connection to the president of the United States. He's a government official, so he has access to information. And then his company, SpaceX, is sending rockets consistently to space. Like they have, they're sending more things to space now than NASA. They have a government contract, so he's seeing things. He's seeing things based on the information that he has, and he's saying we need to make sure in order to save humanity, in order to save the human race, we have to create another we have to create another civilization on a planet. Something indeed will come, but we won't see it in our lifetime. It's just like back in the day, folks thought the same as we do now about the future, but we won't see it. Things are crazy now. Yeah, they are, man, Eric Young. They are, man. It's crazy. And I know I was in the gym talking with a guy, and I was like, you need to check that interview out. But then we were talking about, well, what can we do? Because you gotta understand, if he's talking about taking 1 million people, it ain't gonna be us. It ain't gonna be us. It ain't gonna be the common folks. It ain't gonna be brown folks. It's gonna be them. It's gonna be the elite and the wealthy, and more than likely the the Caucasian race. That's who he's gonna take. That's just the reality. We there's movies throughout. There's movies showing you these end of the world type movies showing you what is going to happen with the elite. There's this one movie, I don't know the name of the movie, but it's about it's like the concept of the Noah Ark concept, where they built this big ass Noah Ark boat so that they can basically save life. And when you look at that movie, who had access to the boat? Only the rich and powerful, only elite could buy tickets to the boat. So when we and this billionaire is talking about creating a life on Mars, he ain't talking about bringing us. He's talking about bringing his own kind. And basically, we gonna be effed, right? Another movie, The Purge. It talks about what happens when possibly the end is near. You got all these rich and wealthy elites coming into the hood to pick us off like they're hunting game, you know? So it's like, well, so at the end of our conversation, me and this guy in the gym, it's like, well, what can we really do? Like if an asteroid is coming, because he talked about the possibility of an asteroid, and then he also talked about the possibility of nuclear war. Then he talked about the possibility of this deadly, lab created virus that would be more serious, more detrimental than what was with COVID, right? And basically that would basically wipe out all three of those situations will wipe out the human race. And so he has to get at least 1 million people over there, right? But yeah, it won't be us, man. It won't be us. You know what I'm saying? Like it's and so we were talking about what would we do if the asteroid, if we knew an asteroid was coming. Like what are the last things you would do? And I honestly said, man, I said, he asked me that question, like, what would you do? I said, well, a part of me, a part of me would want to spend the rest of that time with my family. Yes, you know, if that's all we had is 24 hours, 48 hours, I would want to hold them, be with them. But a part of me would want to do some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Some other stuff that I just had to, you know, and a lot of us would. He admitted himself. He said himself, hey man, if I had 24 hours, 48 hours before that asteroid hit, I would do some crazy stuff too. Is it really crazy? Or is it really just getting out the frustrations that you had that now that you know the life is about to be over, hey, you might what you might as well. But then there is the spiritual aspect of it, the religious aspect, where if you're a religious person, you may have a different view on that. You might say, well, if I do this, then I might go to hell in the afterlife. If you are a religious person, right? But if you're not, if you, let's say you're just a spiritual person, maybe you would do some of those things. If you live by the Bible, or if you live by the Quran, you may not. But if you're a spiritual person, you may do some of those things. So as y'all can see, it's another day. You know what I'm saying? Doing what I got to do. Just tapping in, man. You know, tell all my people that watch this, especially us common folks, man, just keep your head up. You know what I'm saying? Plan, because the U.S. It ain't what it was, and it ain't gonna be what it's gonna be. And I watched that Donald Trump his address to the Congress. I'm listening to all that stuff he said. I'm like, all that stuff. He just talking fantasy, bro. Like the majority, like all that stuff he's talking about was like symbolic things he was doing, like total symbolic things. Like he knows America's not going to be what it was before. He knows that. He knows that. But he has to feed us a dream. He has to feed us a fantasy. America is not going to be what it was before, and it's not going back. We are on a decline, man. So with that, I got to get out because you got these other guys behind me that's rushing. Peace.